Crafters, I'm JanB and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. Today I'm going to show you how to make a double diamond pop-up card. It stands on the shelf like that and the view that you get is like that, so it's quite 3D. I've decorated the back of mine, the two squares there, because I feel that when it's standing on the shelf that's quite visible. It will go into an envelope that's about 6 by 6 or possibly even a 5.5 by 5.5, but it will need to go that way round. What I would do for posting this is I would cut a square a bit shorter than the size of my envelope using the white piece of cardboard that comes at the back of our designer series paper packs. And I would put that in and then I'd put my card in so that the cardboard will keep that solid. Okay. If you have a envelope punch board, you could make your own envelope. But this is what we're going to be making. The images on here are die cuts. I've stamped them and die cut them and then adhered them on. But I will show you how on this one here I did actually stamp straight onto these. So I'm going to start off with the cardstock you're going to need. You need a piece of Whisper White that measures 11 inches by 5 inches. You need 4 squares that have been die cut using the Stitched Shapes dies, these square ones. This one has been cut with number 3. I always start counting from the smallest. Smaller the die, smaller the number, so that's 1, 2, 3. You need 4 of these. If you don't have these dies, you need a square that's 2 1/8 inches by 2 1/8 inches. So that's 4 of those. You need 1 square that's been die cut with number 4, die number 4, so it's the next size up, it's the largest one. And that should, if you don't have the dies, that's 2 5/8 inches by 2 5/8 inches. You need 4 pieces of Melon Mambo, which measure 2 1/4 inches by 2 1/4 inches, and that's for that to layer onto. You need 1 piece of Melon Mambo that measures 2 3/4 inches by 2 3/4 inches, so that will lay onto that. And you need 1 piece of Whisper White which measures 3 3/8 inches by 3 3/8 inches, and that's for this piece at the back. So the first thing we're going to be doing is, with our trimmer, all the measurements will be in the box below, plus the US measurements and hopefully metric as well. For the sake of the video, save me keep having to go out of shot when I do the scoring up this end. I just keep turning my paper around so that you can see it all. And I have actually already done this one ahead of time. So to start off with, line this up at 2 1/2 inches. Make sure both bits are up and then score. Take your cardstock out, turn it around and do 2 1/2 inches from this side. Make sure both lots are up nice and firm and score. Now you need a pencil, preferably with a nice sharp point on it, and you need to line this up at 4 1/2 inches. Again, make sure it's all up nice and tight there. Now, keeping your pencil upright so that you go in the exact right position. If you lean it, you're going to go too far over that way. If you lean it, you go too far over that way. So keep your pencil straight and just a little pencil mark, and then come down here, pencil straight, little pencil mark there. Take your cardstock out, turn it around, line up at 4.5 inches, make sure it's all up, straight pencil, little pencil mark, straight pencil, pencil mark. Now turn your cardstock lengthwise, line it up to 2.5 inches and score. Make sure these are up nice and tight. Okay, so score that. Turn back onto the horizontal side, and this time you need to line up at 3.25 inches. And then once you've done that, make sure that you're up nice and tight there. With your pencil again, nice and straight, put a pencil mark on your score line. Just a little dot, that's all that's needed. Take your cardstock out, turn it around, 3.5 inches again. No, sorry, 3.25 inches. Pencil up nice and straight, and just a little pencil mark there. Okay, so what you should have is 2 pencil marks there, 2 pencil mark there, and 2 pencil marks there. So we finished with our trimmer. Now what we need now is to score from that line to that, that to that, from that to that, and from that to that. You can either do it straight on your surface, or if you have a piercing mat, you can rest on that. Personally, I prefer just to do it straight on my work surface. So what I'm going to do is, now it is important that wherever you come over, as you're scoring this, if you score and you land right onto that pencil mark, you must land right onto that one, right onto that, and right onto that. If you do them differently, then your folds aren't going to line up properly. They will miss a bit anyway, but what I tend to do is I like to start, in fact, let me use my paper piercer. Right, so I put my the thin end onto my pencil mark there, and I just make a little dent so that I know when I start to go that side, I'm in my dent, and when I'm starting to come over this side again, I'm in the dent. So both times I'm starting from the same place. Okay, so what I'm doing is I am lining up where my pencil goes off of my paper. I wonder if this will be easier to see if you've got it. Can you see that pencil mark easier without the squares in the way? Okay, so into my little grooves that I made, and my ruler is right at the end of where that pencil mark is, which means the line may be a bit past it, but that's okay as long as I do exactly the same to the one over this side. Okay, so I'm going to start here in my little dent, and I'm going to put my ruler so it lines up with where that pencil mark is coming off of the cardstock. Okay, now again with my pencil dot here, I'm just going to put a little dent in there. So that's there, and again I'm turning my ruler so it's lining up with where that pencil mark goes off my cardstock. Okay, into my little groove, line it up where my pencil mark is coming off the cardstock. Now what I should find is that that score line is in the same place in relation to all these lines, and it is. Let's see if I can show you. Can you see how this appears to be short of that pencil mark, but it doesn't matter because where that line is in the same place on that line as well, and you'll see it's the same. Turn it around, you'll see it's the same on those as well. Okay, I hope I've explained that okay. So what we're going to do now is first, oh yes, let's remove our pencil marks first. It took me a long time working on this to get the sizing all right so that it all matched up. So first of all, fold this in half this way, and this was one of my first problems I was having, which I'm not now, and that is when I folded this I was finding it wasn't lining up properly. I'll give that one a nice score. I'm not quite sure why that had happened, so that's okay. Now this one, fold backwards and make sure it lines up really nicely. That's it. Now we need to fold it on these diagonal lines, and this is really quite easy. If you just lay it on your work surface like that and just put your fingernail where it bends, and then with this hand just give it a gentle push and you'll find it's quite happy to bend. And then come over to do this side. Okay, now because I did my I punched a, not punched a hole, but I made a dent in there, it means these two are meeting up. Let's do this side, bring it up gradually with the fingernail there, that works beautifully. And now this side, you see this has worked without worrying about the piercing mat. Okay, now again, the next bit you need to do by encouraging your paper to move in the direction you want it to go. Basically you want this piece to come up and these pieces will wrap around. So if you, there we go, that one's going. Just pinch that a bit, pinch that a bit, and you'll find that it is going. And then keep on going down, and you should find that your points will line up. Now be very careful how you use your bone folder on here. Let's see if I can show you on this one. I was too heavy-handed with my bone folder, and can you see the dent that I've made there? That dent goes all the way across. And that one as well. In fact, that looks as if I've, yeah, that looks as if I've actually broken the cardstock there. Okay, so just bend it, crease it with your hands, but don't go too hard, especially on that bit there. And it looks like I've done it again. Okay. Now what you might find, because I have not had perfection with this at all, there'll be a little overlap there. Okay, that one's perfect. That one's perfect. And that one's got a little bit as well. But that is so tiny, it really isn't enough to worry about. Okay, so the next bits I have all prepared, and I will show you what I have done. I have used zany zebras, and I have done 2 of each of these. And to introduce the pink, I have used my watercolour pencils, my Stepping Up watercolour pencils, and I have just coloured in the ear a little bit and the tongue. So that just would tie this with this, otherwise it meant that it was all just black and white, and I wanted to have some colour. So that's those 2. And then this is the one for the largest, because he's like jumping. The reason I did these ones as cutouts, and obviously they've been fussy cut, is because if you look at this, it's not going to fit in perfectly. You see how the tail goes over, the hoof here goes over. That it would be such an effort to try and get that to be correct that I decided to do the fussy cutting. And please note, with the fussy cutting that I've done, I don't know which is the easiest one for you to see it on, I have only cut straight round the hair there. I haven't gone in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay, even I wouldn't have patience to do that. So that's that one. But what I do want to show you is, first of all, I've got these set up ready. This is how I set my stamps up with my Stamparatus for the Sailing Home stamp set. So I only had to do that, labelled them all up, one piece of paper, stamped down, and that was all of them done all in one go. I'm showing you this because this is why I absolutely love my Stamparatus. Now with this one, this was stamped straight on to my cards. Now what I did was this one. I put this in onto my grid paper, and I lined up, say, with the 5 and the 5. I can't remember exactly what I'd done for there. And I held it down. It must be held down. Okay, so I was a bit higher than that, but it meant that I could come straight over, stamp it. If it didn't come out dark enough, then I could go back, stamp it again, and it would work. So that's what I did with that one. And for the other one, this one, have I got my, oh, here we go. These are the other 2 stamps. This is from, let me just show you the stamp set before I go on. Sailing Home is the one, the masculine one I did. Zany Zebras is what I'm doing now for today. Posted for You, it's the Happy Birthday that I'm using. And this one was Inspiring Iris. Now this is a 2-step stamp set, but I prefer to actually colour in the images myself. So I've showed you that one. Now these 2, and obviously it doesn't matter which way round you do this, but I lined this up first. In fact, let me show you. I lined this one up on my Stamparatus first, just made sure that that and that were straight, held it in place. I put this on where I wanted it to go, bearing in mind you must have your patterns on at an angle like this. You don't want to do them straight, so it does need to be done point to point. Okay, so let's make sure that that is straight, and then pick it up, and then I'm ready to stamp on that straight away. And I did exactly the same for this one as well. Okay, I don't remember. I should have made a note of the numbers or something where I'd put it, but let's assume it was about there. Oh, not too far off, yes. Okay, and then I'm just able to stamp that. I assume it must have been that one. But do make sure your diamond is straight, that is in the same line. Yeah, not quite, but I'm sure you get the idea of that one. In fact, shall I just stamp one for you so that you can see? Let's do this one because we know that that was right, don't we? And the only ink I have with me at the moment is the Melon Mambo, so I'm going to use that. I don't need this square, so... Right, hold that. Melon Mambo. I hadn't planned on doing this bit, never mind. I think it's easier when you can see. I much prefer seeing things being done rather than having them explained. Okay, so that's inked up. There we go. And if I'm not happy with it, I could go back down and redo it. But it just makes life so much easier. So move that one over there, pop that down there. So that's all of that. So these are all of my, oh, let's put that away. I can't remember the last time I used Melon Mambo. Right, so I've done all of these. I'm going to adhere them onto this. Now, the easy way of doing this, I mean, you can just do it like this to make sure that you get it right, but I know that if you open it right up, this one has got to be facing correctly there, that's got to be facing correctly there, that one down, so they're all going towards the outside. So that's a correct. So if I put it on like that, that's going to be fine. And that one I've got to put on like that. Okay. Let's prove a point. It's just that it's so much easier to put that on when the card is flat. Let's just take a pair of tweezers. Now this one, just centre that. Okay, so when it comes up, there we go, that will be right. So let's do this one, and he goes that way. With the large zebra, I'm planning to put the happy birthday sentiment on that. That's why it's got such a big gap at the bottom there. Right, so that's the bottom. So that's got to go into the outside corner. Oh, no, I want those alternated, don't I? Don't want them side by side. Okay, so that's the base. So it's got to go on the outside there. Now let's come back to one of these. He can go on there. I wonder if that's got enough glue on it. Let's find out. So that's the base, and it's got to go onto that outside corner. And then this one onto this corner. So that's the bottom, so that's got to go on that corner there. Okay, opposite, opposite, that's good. Okay, so there we go. That one and that one, which is good. He's looking around at this one. So for this one, now this is the one I really got myself in a mess with. I will leave the sentiment until last. When I'm adhering these, like the white square, onto the Melon Mambo, I found it a lot easier by making sure that these were lined up on this dark line on my grid paper. Now this has got quite a large gap around it. I think that looks straight. Okay. Now open that up again. You don't want to get glue all over the place like I did. Now I calculated this white sheet by, first of all, I measured from the little dot that I did there to that dot, and then I worked out what size square I needed to fit into there so that it would also come down to here. What I need to do now is to put blue on the back of this, but only this bottom half. In fact, I'm not going right up to the halfway mark. I will come up to, in fact, if I put that on the dark line, I will come up to the line below the dark line. Okay, you see that dotted line there? I'd much rather fall short of this rather than go too high. That looks as if it's taking quite a dip there, but that's okay. Okay, so if you have one side that you think looks better than the other, no, I think they're about both the same, aren't they? Okay, so I'm going to put it onto this one. So line that corner and that corner up on that straight line, and make sure you've got the same gap there as you have that side. It's a very, very small gap. There we go. That looks about right. So there's your card. Okay. It will settle down. The reason this one keeps going walkabouts is because I didn't use my bone folder to flatten it, but then I didn't want to get those marks on here. Right, so next I need my sentiment. Oh, what did I do with my stamp? I know I cleaned it. Where did I put it once I'd cleaned it? Oh, that's clever. I have already stamped it, but that's not the point. Did I leave it on the shelf behind me? Nope. Oh, come on, how can you lose a stamp? It's on a block. Oh, good grief. Oh, right in front of me, look at that. I surprise myself at times. Right, that's Happy Birthday. I like the font on this one. And where's my scrap of paper? Right here. What I have been doing with the other cards is I've been leaving the Happy Birthday right to the very end, but I didn't know how many I wanted because I didn't know whether I were going to put them on there, on here. I think it was this one, wasn't it, that I did 2. Okay, I did one there, and I did one on the back. So I tended to stamp about 3 of them. If they don't get used, then they're ready for another day. In fact, today I've been playing with 2 colours I don't use very often. The masculine card is Pacific Point, which I think is a gorgeous colour, but I hardly ever use it. Right, I'm going to do 3 of these. It doesn't matter that they're not straight because I'm going to punch them out. I'm going to use the classic label punch, which this just about fits into. Let's give my hands a little wipe. Okay, so I make sure the tail on the Y of the birthday is within the punch area. I make sure the base of the Y, both the Y's, are just about touching the base there. And then that means that the top of the H, that little straight line there, and the straight line on the B, that means they're touching the top, that end as well. Okay. So I've already punched out others over there, so I'm not going to punch all of those. We just need to decide where we want them to go. I know one of them has got to be in here. Well, that's obviously going to have to go down there. I don't think I want them over the zebras. Well, that doesn't look bad, does it? Is there another one? Let's see what that looks like. No, I think I prefer it on there. Now these you could pop up on dimensionals if you want, which is what I've done with the Happy Birthday on the masculine card. Okay, so I think that's what I'm going to do with this one. And I use the small dimensionals. No, I don't use that for that. This is an easy card to make. The only thing you do need to be careful about is you need to be precise with your measurements and where you do your pencil marks. As I say, make sure that your pencil is up straight. If you let it lean, then your pencil marks are not going to go in the exact right position. That looked a bit hairy. Now this I am going to do with my card folded so that I know that I am getting this in the best place. Now this goes in there perfectly. All I need to do now is make sure that's straight. Yep, that looks good. Now I don't know if that needs something else in there. Or whether just to leave it. I don't know. I will think about that. Today is actually Wednesday. The video will be going live on Sunday. And the reason I'm doing this one a lot earlier than normal is because starting on Thursday, tomorrow, we have our virtual leaders event with Stampin' Up. Because we'll be having all these different things that we can attend online, I didn't want to finish up with not enough time to do a video, then finishing up doing something that isn't really very nice and you don't like it, and I leave you feeling disappointed. So I played with it early. I have the measurements for the US so that it can be made with a sheet that's 11 by 5. You can't get 2 out of 1 piece of cardstock. I did try that. One of these was this one, I think it was 11 by 4 1/4. As you can see that how much is overlapping there, or is exposed there on both sides, and the extra bit there as well. It took me ages to work this out, but I succeeded and I've got them. The only ones I haven't checked at the moment is the metric, but I'm hoping that'll be right to do. So there we go, that's today's project. I hope you like it. I hope you give it a try. I hope you're not put off, because it is, you need to be precise with it. I've given you hints and tips about how easy it can be to be precise, and I know you can do it. I'm totally confident in you all. Anyway, many thanks for joining me today. If you have any questions or any comments to make, please leave them in the box below the video. I'm always happy to help you, and I do enjoy reading your feedback. I will put in the box below the A4 inches sizes, the US size in inches. I'll put the score lines, pencil mark lines and all of that for you. I will also list out all the products I've used and put a link which will take you to my online 24/7 Stampin' Up shop. If you would like to purchase anything, if you're purchasing during August, this is the HOSTESS code for you to use, and if you use that when you place your order, you will get some free product from me at the end of the month when I send out my happy mail to all my customers. Also during August, a special promotion that I'm running myself for all my customers is I'm going to be sending them a pack of 48 sheets of 6x6 retired designer series paper, and each pack will have some kind of specialty paper, like maybe it'll be glimmer paper, or it may be vellum that's got gold patterns on it or something, but it will be special. And all you need to do is place an order for £30, and that is after you've applied your discount vouchers from July and before the postage gets, the delivery charge gets added as well. And then I will be sending that to you with your free product if you've used this, but don't do that if you place an order that's over £150. Otherwise you will lose the stamping rewards that your order will earn for you to choose your own free product. Finally, if you'd like to be notified each time I upload a new video, please click on the subscribe button down there in the right hand corner, and then click the bell. That will make sure you get the notifications. Many thanks for joining me today. Until next time, happy crafting. Cheerio.